There's certain situations we come upon in life that make us uncomfortable, right? Like getting ready to do a sermon and the laptop shut off. No, that wasn't in here. But, and rightly so, right? There's just certain things that just make us feel uncomfortable. In this pandemic world that we're living in, obviously, if you're out and about and you're in a big area with a lot of people and nobody's wearing their mask, you're probably going to be uncomfortable. If you're one of the unfortunate ones that's being audited by the IRS, which by the way, I asked at first service, I'm just curious, who in here has been audited by the IRS? Okay. You know, I never have, and you know, it's weird because I've owned Bad Moon Books for all these years, but one thing I've never done, because I was told early on, do not claim home office. Home office is like the big red flag, boom, run the flag up, you're going to get audited. So anyway, but if you have been, I would imagine, you two were probably sweating bullets, right? You're sitting across from this IRS guy. It depends. If he's sitting there with a frown on his face, taking copious notes as he's looking at your last year's return, you're probably going, oh no, this is not going to be good. You're uncomfortable. The truth is we're all going to experience times where we feel uncomfortable, and rightly so. There are also times when we should feel uncomfortable, but we don't. Now here's a good one for you. Church should make you feel uncomfortable. Church should make you feel uncomfortable. If church causes you to look at deep into yourself, your soul, deep down on the inside, and you see the sinfulness there, you ought to feel uncomfortable. Not always. I'm not saying you're going to come to church and be a downer. I've said many, many times, we're not a glum group here. We have fun. I'm not saying to be a downer, but you should feel a little uneasy, a little uncomfortable. Grace, dare I say, is like, grace should make you feel uncomfortable because it just makes no sense. It's crazy. So yeah, we should feel uncomfortable sometimes. Today I want to talk about another thing too that should make us feel uncomfortable, but most of the time it doesn't. And you know what it is? Hopefully it's still hanging up there behind me, right? Is it still up there hanging? Yeah. The cross, right? Should make us feel uncomfortable. It should. People collect crosses though. They wear crosses around their neck. Janine and I had when we lived in Anaheim, the two-story house there, the wall going up to the second floor was covered with crosses, the cross collection. They have them on the walls of their home. Of course, we have one hanging in the church. There are a lot of people who wear them around their neck. And ladies sometimes will even wear cross earrings. We're amazingly comfortable with crosses, but we really shouldn't be as comfortable as we are because it was on a cross that our Savior died. And in the Bible, we're called to carry our cross. And that should make us very uncomfortable. Let me explain. It says, whoever desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. So did you hear that? It says, deny and take up. Deny and take up. Commitment to Jesus and selfishness don't coexist. Mark tells us that this commitment to Jesus is open to anyone, to everyone. It's not just for a select few. It does not matter if you are the worst of the worst of the worst of sinners. I mean, Paul, the Apostle Paul, who wrote, it seems like half of the Bible, right? He said, I am the worst. I'm the worst sinner. Now, I doubt that, but he could recognize that in himself. Jesus offers us all, though, an opportunity to commit to him, if you're willing. He's willing to accept your commitment. It's an open invitation. He stands at the door and knocks. There's a great painting. The same guy, Werner Salzman, that did, we have a painting it's not a painting, it's a reproduction in the library of that Werner Salzman. Whenever I think of Jesus, I think of the Werner Salzman painting. And it's that one where I've told you guys where if you look, the shading he used, there's a chalice and a wafer on Jesus' forehead. If you look at that painting, you can see it. Once somebody points it out, you can see it. But that, even though it's probably not the politically correct Middle Eastern Jesus with darker skin and a slightly larger nose of a Middle Eastern person, I look at that picture and to me, that's Jesus. Werner Salzman also did the stand at the door and knock. And what's unique about the door that Jesus is standing at knocking? You learned this in Sunday school. I'm sure you all know it. What's unique about that door? No doorknob. Not on the outside. So if you want to let him in, you have to do it. You have to do it. But look at the very next phrase after the commitment. The next phrase is the fly in the ointment. So it's the elephant in the room. It says, let him take up his cross, but then what? Deny himself. What Mark is telling us that following Jesus and selfishness cannot exist in the same space. I'm either sold out for Jesus or selfish with my time, my talent, my finances, and my very self. Remember the story of the rich young ruler that came to Jesus? He actually kind of gets a bad rap, in my opinion, because this guy's got it going on. I mean, he really does. He says, I've kept the Torah, I've done all the laws, I'm a good guy. And he's sort of looking for a pat on the back from Jesus because he knows he's pretty much got it going on. But what happens? He approached wanting to commit possibly to Jesus, but not wanting to what? Give up his rather large amount of possessions. He didn't want Christ or his possessions. He wanted both. And Jesus' response to him was this. Jesus even saw it. Jesus was like, man, you are like so close, dude. He said dude too. He goes, dude, you're so close. All you have to do is, I better go back to the actual Bible. If you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me. And when the young man heard this, he what? He went away dancing, right? No, he went away bummed, sad. Because why? He had great wealth. You see, if he had no money and Jesus said, sell everything you have and come follow me, he could be like, oh, piece of cake, done. Phew, I'm there. But he had a ton of stuff. He chose earthly pleasures over Jesus. A lot of marriages end in divorce, right? Right? I mean, is it still like more end in divorce than not? For a while, it was like 52% end in divorce, which means 48% don't. So if you're in a room with 100 people, 52 of them have probably been divorced. That's amazing. And that's not just non-Christians, that's Christians too. Plenty of Christian marriages end. And why? Because a lot of times because of selfish motives. When you get married, you're saying, I'm choosing you over my selfish motives. We are now going to be one person. Remember your vows? How many? A long time ago, 43 years ago this year, for Janine and I. And as I recall the vows, they went something like this. I will love you in sickness and health, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, till what? Death do us part, right? Thank you. But often this is what they dissolve into. I will love you most of the time, as long as you keep yourself up. Don't go to seed. But please stay healthy. I don't want to have to take care of you. God, no, please. Make lots of money. Let's enjoy life. And if it doesn't work out, oh well, we can end it. It's all good. Isn't that what vows sort of dissolve into sometimes? Because of commitment. Commitment. Notice Mark didn't say in the gospel today, though, that Jesus will force you. If you want to follow me, I will force you. I will compel you. You darn well better pick up that cross and just get on with it, because I'm going to make you. It has to be our decision. Remember altar calls? I don't think they're as prevalent nowadays, but did any of you get to go on the ultimate altar call, the Billy Graham Crusade? Any of you? I did. Any of you never been to one? No? Oh, yeah. 1968, I think, or it might have been 67. I was either 11 or 12, Anaheim Stadium. I did the ultimate altar call, right? Come down to the field where they had people waiting for you. Yeah, it was cool. But nowadays in churches, I don't think they do it much anymore. My son's church in Anaheim Hills, Crossroad, was the last place I went, but they didn't have people come up. He just said, okay, now everybody close your eyes. I'm going to look out. If there's anybody who needs to accept the Lord, just give me a little raise of the hand. But the old school altar calls, it would be like, come up, children, if you would like to receive the Lord, right? And I think that sometimes those altar calls were kept open too long. And inevitably someone feels compelled to go up, right, to end the silence. I hate silence. I don't like it. I can't deal with silence, Linnea said Wednesday night at the Ash Wednesday, or at the Lent service, she said, it was really good. But next week, and I knew what the words were going to be before they even left her mouth. Next week, let the people have a little more time to answer the questions before you jump in with your deep theological knowledge. No, she didn't say that, but give them a little more time to answer. That's my problem, because I don't like silence. But in those altar calls, I can almost guarantee occasionally somebody would just go, oh, I better just go do that dang altar call, or this preacher's going to keep us here all day. So it wasn't necessarily a voluntary decision. Mom and dad certainly can force you to go to church on Sunday, right? But they can't force you to take up your cross, to really follow Jesus. Now, when Mark talks about the cross, too, he's not talking about a cute little silver, this is actually called a pectoral cross, right? Because it rests right here on my toned, massive pecs. And wasn't that funny? Come on, man. Janine told me this shirt this morning, by the way, fits me perfectly. And then she had to follow it up with, you can't gain 1 more pound in that shirt. It looks good, like right now, but don't gain a pound and don't lose a pound. And I'm like, God, that's a lot of pressure, man. Now where was I? I don't even know about that. He's not talking about a cute little gold cross like this silver pectoral cross or an ornamental cross, but the type of cross that Jesus carried on his way to death. A heavy, nasty, hewn piece of wood that has probably huge splinters in it. And Jesus is he's obviously not a politician either, because he's not painting an easy road. He doesn't say, come follow me and your life will be perfect. Right? He's not painting that at all. As a matter of fact, it's a difficult road, a difficult life. But remember, he's not asking us to do something that he hasn't already done. Funny thing is, back in Jesus' time, the cross was used for one thing and one thing only. There were no bumper stickers. People weren't wearing around their neck. It was the most humiliating, degrading, painful way that you could possibly execute someone. That's what it was. So why should we take up our cross? Why? Because it's the greatest example of loving and commitment. We love, 1 John 4:19, we love because he first loved us. You see, we can only love him and our fellow man because of the immeasurable love for us. Otherwise, we could not and would not love. We love God and we love people. And Jesus says all the law and the prophets hang on those 2 commandments. But here's the news flash. We couldn't love God and love people at all if he didn't love us first, because that's not how we're wired. We're wired to look out for number 1. Now, commitment to Jesus also means that we follow behind him. There are literally warehouses full of books, bajillions of books on how to be an effective leader, right? But we already have the greatest leader in human history, and we should cling tight to him and his teachings and follow him. Before the COVID pandemic, one of the things we all enjoyed doing was going out to eat, right? It seems like we never get to go out to eat anymore. It's such a bummer, man. Food for the soul. I used to look forward to Food for the Soul every month, you know. It's just a cool time when we get together in fellowship. I even said to Janine yesterday, you know, I have 2 weeks of vacation I've got to use before July 30th. Hey, I thought, you know, I just forgot about COVID for a minute, and I said, maybe we should go up to San Luis Obispo and stay at the apple farm for a week, the Apple Farm Inn. And I went, oh, crud. It'll be all COVID out. Won't be able to eat in the diner. And it's like, oh, it's such a downer, you know. But I got excited for a minute, and then I thought, oh, geez. But if you go to when we were able to go to a restaurant, what normally would happen when you come to a restaurant? You're greeted by who? A host or a hostess. And normally, and they'll look at their little book, sometimes way too long, you know, because they're like sort of like in the airport, you know. It's like, can I change from row B to row C? And the lady goes like this for like an hour. And you're like, what could she be keystroking in? All I wanted to do was change one row, and it's like an hour later. So the hostess is always like, well, let me see here. And it's like, it's not rocket science. I'm just looking for a booth. But anyway, so she will then pick up the menus, and what will she say? Follow me, right? Follow me. Well, you're all good if you do, because you get to go to your booth. But what happens if you follow the busboy? Instead, if you get lost and follow the busboy, where are you going to end up? The kitchen. Who said washing dishes? That's exactly right. Susan obviously has done it before. Perhaps to pay for a meal when she left her wallet at home. But has anybody ever done that? No, but that's like an urban legend, isn't it? Where they make you wash dishes if you can't pay the bill anyway. If you follow the busboy, you're going to end up in the wrong place. You're going to end up in the kitchen. In this life, there's only one person that will lead us to the destination that God has in store for us, which is heaven, which is a life with him, eternal. You see, the world can lead you a lot of different places, but not to that final destination. Our flesh can lead us, but it won't lead us to where we want to be. It can be a hard road. We know that, being a Christian. Is there anybody that hasn't had a difficult life being a Christian besides John Doverspike? Because it is. It's hard. It's a hard road. But the Lord of grace is but a breath away. The Lord of grace is only as far away as a single word, Jesus. And we're strengthened as we walk on this road, even though it's a hard road, because we do as Jesus instructed us in Matthew 11:29. It says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls along the way in this journey of life. And all God's people said, amen.